Really, I am touched also, like John said, that there's, definitely, it grounded me too. I didn't have no idea how many people really loved it. I knew only by my residuals. That's called royalties. I'm sitting at home in Brentwood receiving Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 7. And that's all I cared about. And coming here, I really do appreciate, though I did meet a lot of people. I'm really thankful a lot of you guys came. I know you came from other states and countries. So I know there's a guy that flew in from London. Where are you? That dude's awesome. So you come over. Andrew, everybody. So, real quick, and I know Johnny would be sitting here somewhere, and I love Johnny, we all do, so I really think that I wanted the flashback. This movie, being here has been a flashback for me. I do recall Heather, me, and Amanda, and Johnny going over his house to watch The Hills Have Eyes, and all of Wes's old movies, and we were like actors, starting actors back then, going, we're gonna make this movie like acting movie. This movie like not like Friday the 13th bad acting. We're gonna fucking do it. Robert Englund, sorry. Robert Englund was the man that really, he made this movie by scaring the shit out of everybody. And that's really what the difference was.
Okay. Let's get your hands up if you got a question and I'll come see you, okay? Anybody? Question? Look at this, front row.
For Robert, when I think of Robert Englund, I think of Vincent Price, Boris Karloff, Bill Lugosi, Christopher Lee. Does Robert ever have problems being associated with the horror genre? Ever think of it as a curse or a bad thing?
No, and I'm honored to be mentioned in the same breath with those people. The film I told you about that I may be directing in Italy, I may even get to direct Christopher Lee. It's going to be a complicated time the first time I have to tell him what to do. But no, I'm really lucky. I was in my early 30s, and I'd already done, I think, 12 movies and a hit TV show when I did Nightmare on Elm Street. So everybody in Hollywood knew who I was. I was always going up for parts, and I sort of was part of that 70s renaissance. I worked for Bob Rafelson, 5 Easy Pieces. I worked for Robert Aldrich, To Kill Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, Robert Mulligan, To Kill a Mockingbird. I worked with some extraordinary directors early on, Daniel Petrie, Raised in the Sun, and I was part of that scene a little bit. And then I did this movie, and it changed, and it actually, I was kind of a snob, before I did Nightmare on Elm Street. Not necessarily a cinema snob, but coming from the theater. And there was a time when I wasn't going to do television and all of that. And by meeting the fans and by seeing and tasting the influence of popular culture and the legitimate love that you get back, the feedback you get from the fans, it really did sort of change me. And I was just fortunate that I was already established in Hollywood. Had I been in my early 20s and done Freddy, I might have a different answer for you right now. But having it come when I did after I was already established out there, it was actually a blessing. Like I said earlier, and in fact for me an international kind of blessing.
Here's the next question. I'm a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan, but I guess what originally brought me to the movie was being a fan of John Saxon. And I think that I missed this opportunity to ask him to share with us his memories of working with Mary Obama and Dario Argento.
You ready? I'll be brief about working with Mary Obama. My contract at Universal was 7.5 years. It ended at the end of '61. It was the first time that I had been in Hollywood and making love films. Been blown out, studio had made money on me, but I was now starting afresh, you might say, and nervous. got a call one morning from an actress. Said, John, how would you like to make a art film in Italy? This was an Italian girl, actress. I said, well, it's just the thing I was thinking of. And so I got a script. And I thought, well, this isn't an art film, but I wanted to do it badly. So we had a brief discussion, she and I, about, she said, well, it's an art film and there's not a lot of money in it, so 50% is for me and 50% for you. I said, well, you know, she said, what do you think? So I wound up getting, I think, 55% of the cash thing. When I arrived in Italy and began working, Baba is a man, or was a man, who was very suspicious, or superstitious is what I really mean. He really believed that you didn't do this, you didn't walk under ladders or things like that, you know? And he was pleasant with me one day, and then the next, he would say things in Italian which I understood. Look at this guy, who does he think he is? I thought, what's going on here with this guy? At the end of the film, I discovered that the girl who had gotten me this part hadn't really gotten me the part, I'd got her the part. She went, and what the story was that the producers were told that if I hired her, I would come, if they hired her, I would come along. And then I began to pick up the backstory, that Mario Bava had a crush on her, and he thought that I was the guy in between here. And so, all ended well.
John Saxon. Hey John, welcome to Chicago. Yeah, John, I'm just curious, what do you remember most about your recollection of your Nightcrawler from outer space? I know that one British film historian said it was one of the best science fiction horror movies ever made, but it never got the recognition it deserved. What was your recollection of doing that movie?
I tried to sound a little British, and I think I managed sometime later. I saw the film that it was something that sounded okay. You know, it was a theme in that time when everybody was afraid of nuclear annihilation. You know, the story being that people from outer space were going to try to recover the world, or recover our sanity and stuff like that. So I thought it was pretty good. I had a good time. Many times there's these added advantages of when you go abroad, like Robert said. I went to the theater every night I could. I went to see every play at the National Theater. I met the actors there. I was becoming, I don't know, an Anglophile practically for a little while. And then again, this same development that I see on one day on Amazon or eBay or something, that it's a cult film that has great following, which was a surprise to me. That's about as much I can say.
Here's the next one.
Thank you.
Actually, the question's kind of just for Robert over there. But first off, you guys all made one hell of a great horror film. Actually, I just want to know, are we ever going to see Freddy's Nightmares on DVD anytime soon? It was a great horror show and I loved it.
Yeah, it's strange. I was doing the promotion for Flashback weekend up in Chicago the other morning, and I did the Fox Morning News. And the weather girl on Fox Morning News was like the original ingenue victim in the Toby Hooper pilot for Freddy's Nightmares. Small world, huh? So we did the, the green screen weather, here comes that high pressure center shtick, with her. But yeah, I think it's out in Europe. It had much more respect in Europe, the series, and I believe there is a DVD. Then you can have to, change the format of it. But there's a DVD out in Europe of Freddy's Nightmares.
Okay, here's the next one.
First of all, Ronnie, this is for you. I just wanted to tell you that you are so hot in Nightmare on Elm Street. You have inspired many dreams of my own.